Wendy, how you doing? Well, it's a pleasure to chat to you. Um,
Likewise.
I think you're, if I've got my maths right, literally the third person I think I've interviewed who I've seen on Top of the Pops at some point.
Wow, who were the other two?
One was Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden,
Uh-huh.
and Scott Ian from Anthrax.
Bloody hell, I mean, fine company there.
I think you've sold more records than they have anyway. So, oh, you've certainly had more number ones than they have.
Yeah, probably.
So, Wendy, you've been. What I'm probably going to focus on actually is the length of time you've been in the music business, because I think that's
Right.
something which is well worth speaking about, and the changes and
Yeah.
so forth. But to jump on to what's current, just to let everybody know where you are at the moment. Your most recent album,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
sorry, your most recent album just came out last year,
Mm-hmm.
which was album number 10, including Transvision Vamp all the way through. So that's 10
Yep.
albums you've done,
Yep.
which is impressive by anybody's standards.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, and what we're promoting in the minute, which I'll remind people about, is you have a 21 date UK tour
Yes.
coming up at the start of October.
Yeah, and I start rehearsing on Wednesday. I've got one day left to do everything I have to do before I'm locked in a rehearsal room.
Oh dear.
So time is clicking down a lot quicker than I thought.
It always does, doesn't it? Time just absolutely flies. People don't seem to realize.
Yeah, and then it's on you. I start rehearsals this Wednesday, and then literally a week later, we're at the
Mm.
100 Club.
Wow.
So this is not going to be easy.
Yeah, jumping straight in the deep end in a fairly well-known venue, to be fair. So,
Yeah, and apparently they're 15 tickets short of a sellout. So I'm very, very pleased.
absolutely, that's brilliant news. It's something I was going to touch on, but we'll get to the tour again in a bit. I just want to go through a little bit the history as well, because
Yeah.
it's my memory of you, and you're a couple of years older than me, literally a couple. You're not that far ahead of me, looking way better
Right.
than I do.
Oh,
I mean, you've still got your hair for a start,
right.
but I remember you from the Transvision Vamp days initially. I mean, I was bouncing around singing into my mum's hairbrush, um,
Yeah.
to the classics back then. And I assume you're still part of the live show these days as well as your own material.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous now the amount of material we're rehearsing up.
Mhm.
We are somewhere between 2.5 and 3 hours worth of material. And my
Wow.
poor drummer, he is the Bad Seeds drummer. He's
Mhm.
also been out drumming for the Pogues.
All right,
And
cool.
he's just getting back from America with the Pogues. And he's got 3 hours worth of material he has to learn. It's so
Wow.
funny. But, that's what he signed up for.
So are you actually doing a 3 hour show, or are you just doing, we've got 3 hours of
No.
material and every night we'll mix it up a little bit so we know a little bit for.
There are certainly some numbers that will be always in every show, and
Mhm.
that definitely includes I Want Your Love, Tell That Girl to Shut Up, Baby, I Don't Care.
Yeah.
But then, because I do have 10 albums, I've picked off three or four per album. And also, there's about 13 Transvision Vamp songs that we have rehearsed. We're
Yeah.
not necessarily going to play all of those per night,
Mhm.
but from Trash City to Down on You to Born to Be Sold,
Mhm.
there's a lot. And when I get into rehearsals, as I said, it starts on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Um, we'll hone in on a set list that works the best, and that will be our stock set list per night, into which we add or subtract other songs.
Mhm. Yeah, so that'll be when you again. We see bands touring all the time, and the set list usually doesn't change much from night to night. For
Mm.
yourself, is the set list likely to change based on audience reaction? Is it likely to change on kind of a bit sick of this one, so we just change to something else? Are there some songs which work better in certain parts of the country than others, that maybe refer to geography or something like that? It's essentially when
No,
you mix the set list up, why
no,
do you change it?
it is based on my favorites,
Okay.
and it's based on trying to, thinking of the songs as their own little entity, trying to give them all a fair shake.
Mhm.
So there'll be spots in the set that we can bring stuff in, whether it's a cowboy ballad or a heavy punk rock number,
Mhm.
to be determined.
Fantastic. And of course, for anybody who's buying tickets for more than one show, and I'm sure there'll be a handful of them,
Yeah.
it's good for them as well because they get to hear a couple of songs that they don't hear at some of the other shows as well.
No, maybe you all have to come every single night of the tour in order to hear all of the songs.
I think that seems fair. I mean, there's only 21, and the tickets are
It's only
very reasonably
21. If
priced
I
as
can
well.
do it, so can you.
Absolutely. Um, I mean, looking back at what you've produced, I mean, your first three albums were Transvision Vamp ones, and am I right in saying that Nick did most of the writing across those albums?
On the first two albums, yes.
First two, yeah, and
The
then
third album, because I started off so young, I was 16 or 17.
yeah,
By the third album, my desire to have more of a input
mhm,
was poking through.
yeah,
And so that's why you see more of my credits on little magnets.
mhm,
And then obviously I collaborated with Elvis Costello directly
yeah,
after Transvision Vamp. And that became the turning point in my life, the moment of clarity where I decided that I knew within myself I had some very good songs that within me to write.
mhm,
And also just the fact that if I was in order to be in the music business for someone like me, it has to be because it's my words and my feelings and my music and my instinct for melody or rhythm or style.
mhm.
And the days of me singing other people's version of me were over.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Um, Having said that, it's been very, very pleasant and continues to be pleasant to revisit the Transvision Vamp stuff. And of course, people identified Transvision Vamp as me to a
Mhm.
large extent. So now I've just reached the stage now where if the song's any good, it goes in the set. And if it's not, then it doesn't.
Yeah, that makes sense. And who better to judge whether a song's good or not than the person who wrote it? I mean, that seems perfectly fair.
Yeah, yeah, I get to curate my own stuff.
I have to say, it's just when I'm reading the liner notes from Shape of History, and you're talking about, I just wrote to Elvis Costello and asked him to help me write an album. I mean, the fact that you were that age and could write to somebody like Elvis Costello says an awful lot about where Transvision Vamp were at that point in time. I mean,
Mm.
you guys ended on a high, really, didn't you, after three albums?
Well, in some ways, it was a strange kind of situation with the UK because that third album was our biggest selling album around the world,
Mhm,
apart from the UK. Even though the UK was our base and our master label,
mhm.
they had decided that they didn't quite understand or enjoy the direction that we were going in, which was certainly more rocky and less
Yeah.
poppy.
Mhm,
Although some of my favorite songs that we did, If Looks Could Kill, are on
mhm,
that album. And I just love to play that one.
mhm.
But anyway, the head of the UK label decided that he was going to not cancel the album, but postpone it. But
Mhm.
then life took its own journey.
Yeah.
And Nick and I, when we did two tours of America in 1991 and the world, so we just worked nonstop for 12 months.
Oh.
And we were knackered. And Nick and I kind of looked at each other and said, the only way we can get off this merry-go-round, which it is a very, very constant merry-go-round of
Mhm.
write,
Yeah.
promote, record, write, promote, gig, write, promote, gig.
Yeah.
The only way we felt at that time, which probably indicates how frazzled our brains were, was to split up
Mhm.
in order to get a rest. And we didn't have any kind of overview from the label or management to say, hey, you guys, you deserve a break. Take a year and see where your heads are at. No one said that to us. So I literally remember being in a cafe with Nick, San Francisco or something, West Coast,
Mhm.
and saying, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And he said, oh, let's just call it a day. Um, so we ended in San Diego. So the UK label never got the chance to actually release the record domestically because by the time we got back to the UK, we'd split up. Although it was never an official split up, I don't think we put a press release or anything out. It just kind of went quiet.
Those things. But how did you then get in touch with Elvis Costello? I mean, did you literally just write to him and say, "Dear Elvis," or was he
Well,
somebody
yeah.
you'd met before or worked with before?
We had played various festivals with him that
Okay.
earlier that summer. I hadn't actually exchanged any words with him,
Mhm.
but we was all staying in Hollywood for a residency in Hollywood, a venue there. And I walked into the bar of our hotel and I saw Pete Thomas, the drummer from the Attractions.
Oh.
And I kind of sidled up to him. No, that sounds wrong. I sat next to him. Um, and famous people know each other by at least by sight.
Mhm.
And so he was like, "How you doing? How you doing?" And I said, "Well, I think we're gonna call it. We're so fucking tired. Sorry, I think we're gonna call it quits in a week's time or something." And then I just said off the cuff, "Do you think Elvis would do anything with me?" And he said, "Well, why don't you write him a letter?" And so that night I left the bar and went up to my hotel bedroom and got out. In those days, you got stationery in your hotel room,
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
I wrote him a letter on hotel stationery, like you say, a kind of Dear Elvis letter,
Mhm.
explaining that I was going to move on from Transvision Vamp, but at the same time, not quite on my own two steady legs yet
Mhm.
to, write all the songs for myself. Maybe he'd write me a song, and I didn't hear anything, right? And then about 10 days later, I started hearing, positive murmurs, not from Elvis, but from his publishing company, because of course they control his
Mm.
songs.
Yeah.
And I started to hear word that he would possibly write me a tune, right? So then I get back to England and I open my front door of my house in London. And again, an indicator of how long ago this is. There was a cassette on the mat, the doormat on the inside of the house, and it was from Elvis, and it was a whole album. And so I, went to sleep for a while, and then I bought myself a return ticket back to Hollywood, where our major label was LA Disney, not Disney, MCA, Universal.
Yep.
Um, uh, and I went in to see the head of everything, one of those real massive power legends. His name was Al Teller. And I said, "Listen, Al, I'm not happy with the way this is going. I think we'd signed to like a 6 album deal or something.
Mhm.
You must release me so I'm free to do my own thing." And he said, "Well, that sounds great, but you still owe us this many albums." But what Universal had recently done was acquire the Geffen record label,
All right.
which is
Yeah.
an entirely independent label under the financial umbrella ownership of Universal. Because even MCA, everything just goes back to Universal, which is at the end of the day a filmmaking company.
Mhm.
So speculation was that the whole music catalog was a write-off for the film company.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I moved over to that was a fair deal, I thought. So I moved over to Geffen Records,
Mhm.
and that's how we continued.
Fantastic. And so from there, you moved on and you became truly writing your own material from there. One of the
Yeah.
highlights that stuck out for me was you've started off somebody else writing most of the material, then you've kind of come into it with that third album. You kind of bit of work with Elvis Costello for the next one. By the time you were on to Queen High Straight, you didn't write an album. You wrote effectively two. I mean, it was an album, but it's a double
Well,
gatefold vinyl 20 tracks. I mean, that's two or even three albums by most people's reckoning.
it turns out my instinct was right, and I am actually a fine songwriter,
No
and
argument.
that's where I always wanted to be, and that's where I'm happy, and that's where I am most proud as well. Um, for all the other things that I love so much, I really enjoy it when I get a song right in
Mhm.
my own head by my own judgment. And so yes, I've now written 10 albums, and as you say, the ninth album was a double album, so that's actually 11 albums if you actually count slices of vinyl.
That's it.
But technically, I've
It's
it's
almost
10
three.
albums, 10 releases,
Mhm.
and if I get a moment next year, maybe springtime, I'm gonna write the 11th one.
I did actually find even with The Shape of History, the fact that the vinyl release is split over two records as well. You've got 12-inch and a
Yeah,
10-inch, which is
yeah.
lovely. I mean, I am I'm sure somebody out there will point me in the direction of something, but I am not aware of a paired album being released like that by anybody else before. So
Really?
for those who don't know, there's the 12-inch one, which is a standard 33 RPM, is
Yeah,
that right? And then the
yeah.
10-inch Plays at
It plays,
45.
yeah, it plays at 45
Yeah.
because it's 13 songs, and we all musicians and music lovers
Mhm.
know that you just can't really, audio wise, fit more than the 5 tracks onto a side of vinyl
Yeah.
without losing quality.
Yeah.
And so I asked and I asked, please, can we squeeze 13 songs onto, side A and side B? And my mastering agent and the pressing agent and everyone said, no, it's really not worth it. Having now seen the 10-inch, it's so cute. It's
Mhm.
like it's a mini version of the 33. It's really, really lovely, and I couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, it's strange. 10 inches were one of those things that just didn't really appear much. I think I've got maybe two in my entire record collection.
Right.
And it's just
I mean, I was looking at flexi disc. I wanted to go back to the time of, when you get those little flexi discs on the cover of the record or on the cover of your music mag.
yeah,
Um, but flexi disc really isn't good quality. So,
it's not. I've got more of those than I have 10 inches. I've literally got maybe about a dozen flexi discs
right.
stuck in a inside another 7-inch case somewhere. But yeah, I'm going to have to do a history lesson with a new blog post for anybody listening to this who's under 40 years old because they'll have no idea what we're talking about. Tapes,
Yeah. I
letterboxes.
know cassettes. I know it's just ancient. I posted this. I must move forward because we're going to run out of time. But I posted this funny clip on Instagram the other day, and it was two little boys. One was maybe 4, and the other one was maybe 6, and their mum and dad, or whoever their parents were, gave them one of those old boom boxes and a
Mhm.
cassette, and it
Yeah,
had. I love the Beastie Boys, and it was the Beastie Boys, "Fight for Your Right to Party,"
yeah.
and mum and dad said, just press there. And so like the little 4-year-old, he pressed played, he pushed his button down, and suddenly, you got the right. And both of these kids just went bananas. It was just such an instinctive reaction.
Mm.
So, you know, I'm sure they'll always remember that and go and buy a boombox when they're 18.
Yeah, there's something to be said about. I mean, music's all about listening to the music. We get that, but when you go to streaming now, the one thing you're missing is the whole tactile thing. When your vinyl
Yeah,
releases a gatefold, opening up the liner notes, the artwork, that's
yeah,
12 inches square, or
so
even
true.
across the entire back of an open gatefold or something. You,
Yeah.
you you miss all that, and it's worth paying the extra for. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it was a nice refresher to see a 4-year-old who
Mhm.
doesn't know any music history or any snobbery or any rules
Yeah.
just go bananas to the Beastie Boys on a cassette.
Yeah, one thing I'm missing is a cassette player. I've still got two or three cassettes that I just didn't want to part with, but
Right.
trying to find a cassette player these days is tricky.
Yeah.
But moving on a little bit, um, talking about the live dates coming up in particular. As I said, we've both got a history. We've both been around for quite a few years.
Mhm.
And I've talked to a few artists over the last couple of years who have been going on for maybe 20, 30, 40 years in the music industry. How do you feel that your voice has changed from when you're younger to where now, and how do you look after it? How do you make
Oh,
sure that
my
you're
actual
still ready?
singing voice
Yeah.
is still, if you listen to the records, I can
Mm.
still really reach those high, pure notes.
I know how.
I've got big lungs. Um, Yeah, I've never really had, I don't overthink it, but I've never really, I must say, when I'm touring
Mhm.
constantly, then the top end of my voice will come like that choir girl, Supreme's kind of pure note
Mhm.
gets a little bit ragged, but
Yeah.
I've never lost my voice. Um, yeah, I don't know. What I was born with a voice.
You'd be lucky to be able to keep it. In fairness, the other artists I've spoken to have been predominantly male, and it's the top end that you mention of their songs which they are struggling with as they get older, the higher notes. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess
maybe
it's the high vocal cords that get worn out.
it could well
Um,
be. Yeah.
but I'm fairly disciplined on tour, apart from meeting the fans for an allotted period of time after the show,
Mhm.
and I do put time into that.
Yeah.
But then I'm not out partying or talking crap in a fucking sorry, in a pub.
It's all right.
I go to bed and I stop talking immediately.
Mhm. It's yeah, I mean it's one thing that people think about with the music industry, and I'm sure you did all the partying and stuff back in the Transvision Vamp days. And again, as we get older, we've got other things we can do with our time at night, and let's say chilling out and just relaxing and making yourself ready for the next gig. Because your 21 dates are spread over quite a tight period as well. There's a lot of traveling
Yeah.
involved, isn't there? There's hardly any stopping
Yeah,
in
it's
to
5 dates
yourself.
on, 2 days off.
Yeah.
It's, it's hardcore.
Mhm.
And there's no one I know, whether they're young or old. I'm sure if you asked Olivia Rodrigo or, you know, one of the young girls coming up, or
Mhm.
or men, boys,
Yeah.
uh, you can thrash it for a couple of years. But really, if you're on a world tour, if you're on a Beyonce or Taylor Swift sized tour, there's no time for that stuff.
Mhm.
Your job and your expectation is to give the audience what they paid for with their ticket purchase.
Yeah.
And that's everything that they want to see and hear,
Mhm.
not to roll out on stage, half awake, half awake from the night before and not be able to deliver something that is excellent.
Yeah. It's a very easy way to look at it and go, well, you're only working for 90 minutes or 2 hours. You've got all this other time. Yeah, but as you're saying, the preparation, the rehearsal, the travel, keeping your voice in tune, making sure that you're prepared just before you go on stage, getting well rested, and
Oh, it's
particularly
so
when you're
much.
traveling all the
Constant.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, the only peace you really get is that period when you're actually sleeping,
Mhm.
because the demands are enormous from, just even if it's just asking basic, what time are we getting there? What do you need? Da, da, da. It's just so, you have to give yourself, once I start rehearsing on Wednesday, I'm in full commitment mode until October the 31st.
The tour starts on, I want to say the 4th of October. Is that the first date?
No, first,
1st of
first.
October,
Oh
right at the
my
beginning
God.
of the month. Smashing.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to catch you at the Glasgow show. So
Oh, great.
should be that one. I think one of our photographers is looking at covering. I want to say one. It's one of the ones down south. I can't remember, but we're trying to
Okay,
organise that as well.
excellent. Yeah, well,
Um,
King Tut's will be amazing. It was last time.
it's a lovely little venue, isn't it? It's nicely
Yeah,
intimate without being too crammed. It's
yeah.
and decent sound as well, so it should be a nice place. And the food also. I have to give a shout out to the chefs at King Tut's as well. If anyone's arriving early for the gig, by all means, order from the menu. The stuff's really good. It's a nice meal
Yeah.
there.
I have to say the same thing, food recommendations, Broodnell in Leeds and
Mhm.
also the Clooney in Newcastle.
Oh,
Excellent food.
fantastic. Yes, no, I'm glad to hear shit. I'm originally from Tyneside. That's my old stamping ground. So, and I used to live in Leeds. So you've literally named the three places I've lived. So that's
Both of those,
fantastic.
yeah, both of those venues are superb.
That's brilliant. I'll bear that in mind next time I'm back home again. I'll pop into Clooney. I've not been for quite some time. So,
Oh, it's such a magical place. And Leeds Broodnell is just, it surpasses itself.
mhm.
Everyone wants to play there.
Yeah, it's nice that there are so many of these small venues around. It's one of the things that we as a website like to promote. We've got so much involvement with small upcoming bands, and again, acts like yourself who are returning back to venues like that as well. And the grassroots venues are the ones that they're keeping music alive. If it's not for
I
them, you don't
totally
have
agree.
somewhere to percolate the music up from, which is so important. So getting
Yeah,
out to
and the
gigs like that.
fans love it. The fans love being in a situation like that
Mhm.
because it's big enough to not like, it's not just 10 people crammed into a lavatory. But on the other hand, it's not a stadium show either. It's not an arena show.
Mhm.
So you get proper access to see your favorite band. It's
Mhm.
very enjoyable for the audience and the band.
Yeah, and to hear that you're so close to selling out, certainly some of the gigs anyway. So it's going to be a nice
Mhm.
big crowd at the concerts as well, which is fantastic. Which
Yeah,
again, it's good for atmosphere as well.
yeah, I'm
Uh,
feeling good right now.
Good. That's what we're aiming for. I'm sure you'll feel even better by the time you get to Glasgow.
Yeah, and even better on October the 31st when I know I've done it all successfully.
And you can sit there and eat all that Halloween candy and
Oh my God. I'll be on my hands and knees by then.
yeah, it'll be worth it. And you can actually one thing I did actually notice there, just as I was going through a couple of videos as well. You're actually touring with Transvision Vamp in Spain and New Zealand next year as well.
Spain only just got announced an hour ago. So
Wow.
yes, Transvision Vamp officially begins in 2026.
That's amazing
So
news.
I know it's effing crazy. So I'm on the horse and I'm riding it.
Hmm. So this is you just warming up for Transvision Vamp tour, really, isn't it? Let's be honest.
No, no, everything is special. Everything is special.
I like that. You know what? Everything is special. I think that is a wonderful place to end. That's a great soundbite to finish on.
All right. Well, thank you.
This episode is copyright The Moshville Times, introductory music by Elliot Alderman Broom, and any music used throughout the episode is copyright to the original performers and creators.